And welcome to another episode of Extra Time. Glad you could join us once again this week. I'm Adam Pellerin with my guy Jahmai Webster on the other microphone. I heard him pouring himself a drink before we started the podcast, so I know he's got a lot to say, so it should be an interesting one. How you doing, buddy?
Solid, man. Solid. A little thirsty to start because I was running around this morning, which is, nothing out of the ordinary for me. It feels like my life is a perpetual race. So here we are now stopping to sit down and do this with you, which is a great start to my day. So let's rock.
Yeah, man. Last week of July, trade deadline is upon us. Stretch run for the Red Sox and everybody else in Major League Baseball vying for a playoff spot. It's starting to ramp up. So we'll get into a little bit of Red Sox and Yankees over the weekend. We'll talk about the Olympics because the Olympic Games are underway and want to see if you've been watching at all, if you've had any time and what you're interested in and all that stuff. And we'll also talk about the injury that captivated social media, Jahmai Webster during the road trip right out of the break, suffering
For
was
1 second,
near devastating injury.
For 1 second, I was like, what major catastrophic injury did I miss from a professional athlete? I actually thought you were talking about something different, but no, you're talking about my ankle. So, yeah, happy to dive into that. And caught a lot of backlash, man, surprisingly. I had a lot of support, but had a lot of backlash, which was a little bit of a surprise. And I'll dive into some of that, too, because karma is a you-know-what, man. It came back and it bit some of those people. So here we go.
All right, good. So we will definitely make time for that. But let's start with Red Sox and Yankees. First off, the Red Sox coming back from the road trip to start the second half didn't go well. Got swept by the Dodgers. Lost 2 of 3 from the Rockies, and that was really surprising, especially the way the finale ended, 20-7. It was pretty ugly. Then they had the off day to reset, and then they're back at Fenway Park on Friday. So, Jahmai, because you're obviously with the team, you were on with the team on the trip and with them for game 1 of the series against the Yankees, with the last 2 games being on national TV. But what was the vibe like at Fenway Park on Friday night?
Well, I got to say the best thing to come out of the All-Star break since that point, and getting into Friday night, was Alex Cora reaching an extension, new 3-year contract for the manager. So everybody's riding high on that because he is the foundation, in my view. He's the foundational piece that is kind of igniting the resurgence that we've seen after we've seen this team miss the playoffs in 2 of the last 3 years and kind of struggle to compete in the AL East. But I guess there's an argument that could be made that, he holds some responsibility into that as well. But this, and having a clear-cut vision and being in a position where now we can point to, hey, we've got this in place. We've got these young players in place. We've got this foundation, and we have this clear sight of kind of how we want to play the game. I think that was the biggest thing to come out of the weekend. So the vibes weren't terrible. You talk about the getting swept by the Dodgers. I've never seen a more competitive sweep in all my years covering Major League Baseball. So the fact that they probably should have won 2 out of 3, but could have also been in the reverse and swept the Dodgers to come out of the break, that is, a series that you leave kind of scratching your head, and you wonder, how things turned the way they did, and you can just point to the bullpen clearly. And just point blank, that was the reason why they lost those games late. So then you go into Colorado, and, first time back there since 2019. It's a interesting place to play. You think about the closer, Kenley Jensen, didn't make the trip because of his heart health and his history with atrial defibrillation there and kind of having to have his heart shocked back into the proper rhythm. So you're down a man. Now you're playing down a man. You already have no Chris Martin. You have no Justin Slayton, who has been essentially the Garrett Whitlock take 2 as a Rule 5 draft pick and been a very solid right-hander for them. So you're down some of your best relievers, and then you're down your closer. So you kind of knew going into that series, like, this could be a touch-and-go situation if you don't get the type of starts that you need from your bullpen. So going into Colorado and losing 2 out of 3 didn't feel great either. But again, one of those games they should have won for sure. Last one they should have lost, but they should have also won game 2 in that series. So if you sweep the Dodgers and you win 2, you're looking at a 5-1 road trip, and it's a completely different conversation. But that's not the reality of what happened. But because of that, and these guys know they're in it for 162. It's not just a weekend series like you're playing an entire season. They weren't too down. I think the biggest thing was they felt that those games were competitive, and they know that they have an opportunity to compete, and they know how good they are. They understand the type of team that they are now. So I don't think one or two or one bad road trip out of the break, because you go back and think about how good they were playing heading into the All-Star break. So this is like part of the ebbs and flows of the season, and I think this team understands that. They have enough veterans around to convey that message, and obviously their manager is used to this. So coming back in another series of shoulda, coulda, woulda against the Yankees, could have taken at least 2 out of 3 from there as well. So it's a bit disappointing considering this is creating what we call a pattern now. So big series against the Mariners, another team that's nipping at your heels in that wild card with the looming the looming trade deadline over here. So it's like, they've added a few pieces now, but I don't think, in short, that this play out of the break has shaken this team's spirit any. I think they still have a task in mind. They're still right where they want to be, and everything's still right in front of them, essentially. Just got to turn it around and get some health back, because you know how beneficial that is when you're talking about a 162-game baseball season. So I think they'll be okay. The question is, what more can they add? And I think to answer that is, they got their starting pitcher. This is what Craig Breslow said they wanted. They got the right-handed bat and Danny Jansen from the Blue Jays. Last thing left on his list that he's actually made public is some relief help. So once they do that, they're at full strength. It's like, now we go. That's the way I look at it. So, vibes are staying stable, I feel like, for this group, but certainly got a boost with the manager's new contract.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. I'm glad you mentioned that. And obviously, next week at this time will be post-trade deadline. We could be talking about some new faces on the Red Sox roster. We could be talking about a deadline in which they didn't do much or stood pat. And we also could be talking about either a resurgence after starting the second half 2-7, or we could be talking about an extended losing streak, and now you find yourself in a situation where you're a few games out of that final wild card spot. So a lot could change over the last week. But one thing that won't be changing for a while is the manager, Alex Cora, extended 3 years. You mentioned that. It happened in Colorado. Oddly enough, the news came down before the finale, before the Red Sox got waxed by the Rockies. So it was interesting, right? Because you were there. It was hot out. Things got hot on the field with Cal Quantrill and Reese McGuire.
Yeah.
It even spilled over a little bit after the game, according to reports as well. And then you have, on the other hand,
I didn't see those reports.
Yeah, well, apparently there were some reports that things spilled over a little bit.
I lived those reports, but I didn't see them. I didn't read that.
Yeah, that
we can dive into that.
Yeah, well, with that said, let's go back to the core stuff, because you had that as well, and that sort of came as a surprise, Jahmai, because he wasn't talking about this, as you know. He was sort of not answering the question when people would ask. He didn't want to, right? And then all of a sudden, he's got this 3-year extension. Craig Breslow's flying into Colorado. He was closing things down. And then you have this long press conference at the end of the Rockies game where he's talking about staying in Boston, having this vision with Craig Breslow. I mean, with you being there, was there a feeling of shock? Like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And what did you make of Alex Cora's comments about remaining in Boston when most people thought he was out of here after the year?
Yeah. And could have certainly, I mean, he secured the bag first and foremost, which made it appealing to stick around here, but he could have gotten more money on the open market as a free agent manager. No doubt about that. If you think Craig Counsell is worth his weight in gold, what are you thinking of a World Series winning manager with a pedigree for, churning things that are not shiny into these valuable things. So it was interesting because he said in spring training, being this lame duck manager and like he was just kind of somebody without a future at the organization beyond what he had signed previously, coming back from the suspension. He didn't want to talk about it. He said he didn't want to, have anything to deal with it because it, like most players who are in contract years, you don't want to get that going into the season because anybody who you and I have dealt with contracts on a much smaller scale, but it's kind of one of those things that it kind of consumes you and you're so focused on it. You want to secure your future. You want some stability. You want to have answers for where you're going to be. But if you can also put that at the back burner and like focus on the task at hand, which is trying to win as many games as possible, you want to keep your focus there. And even Craig Breslow said it's not going to be awkward until, or like something along the lines of, unless we allow it to be, whatever. Like we're not going to talk about it because it's not something that's going on right now. So I was, and we'll get to my injury here in a second, but I saw Craig Breslow for the first time on Monday because I was in the trainer's room, the trainer, when he'd walked in like at 5:30 or something like that. And I thought it was strange for him to come in the middle of a trip, like, I'm like, what's going on? Is a trade happening right now? Like, why does he have to be here? So that first piqued my interest, or, I think that was Tuesday, actually. That was Tuesday. So that first piqued my interest. And I was like, wow, this is strange, because we've been out on the West Coast this whole time, haven't seen him yet. So he was there. So the conversation was kind of swirling about his late arrival, but it wasn't like, oh, he's here to, nobody, I don't think had any inclination until we saw some of those reports swirling around social media about an impending contract on the following day. Did we think that was a possibility or that made sense to why he showed up at that point in time? But then also later that night, the Tuesday that he showed up. So later that night, we walk back into the team hotel and he and Alex are nice and cozy in a booth and, they're having great conversation and it seemed to be going fantastic. And then you begin to wonder, what is this about? And then come to find out, Alex says that's where they closed the deal. That night at the hotel, they decided that they'd extend the 3 years and the big money that they did. But it all started to make sense when you start thinking about the pieces coming together. So it was certainly a huge surprise. And it was one of those things where it was shocking, but at the same time, you understood it once, they explained, their positions on it. And Craig even talked about it being an evaluation. Yeah, we got these great reports and we understand the type of baseball man that Alex is, but he and I have never worked together. So you understand from that perspective, like, how is this going to go? Is this something that I can see? Because Craig is signed up for whatever, 3-4 years, whatever, 5 years, his deal. He signed up. So he's thinking like, can we go along and continue to go on this path together? So the whole thing was an evaluation. And the more they worked together, the more comfortable they got, and the disagreements were respectable and the conversations were open. And everybody talks about Alex's communication in that regard. So I don't think it was any different with Craig. And it seemed to be over the course of this point where the team is, at that point they were holding steady to a wild card spot, I believe. But leading up to previous that, they certainly were heading into the All-Star break. So he probably felt like this is a good time to, close the chapter on that evaluation. And then they got back together and they made a deal. So, I kind of didn't see it coming, as you talked about. But once all those, fourth quarter situations started to arise where I'm seeing Craig pop up, I'm seeing them spending time together after the game, and then him being in town, it was like it made sense that was what was going on.
Yeah, so that's how that played out, and it was interesting. And hearing Alex Cora talking about wanting to remain in Boston, and the fact that he's
oh yeah, that was the original question. I went on a tangent there. I forgot about that portion.
No. I like no. Obviously, hearing how everything came together, I think is really interesting because if you're watching at home, you don't see that, right? So you were able to see how things develop, the timeline of events. But the thing that stands out, about Alex Cora and remaining in Boston is the fact that he's now, been with 3 different GM types,
Yeah.
president of baseball operations, chief baseball officer, right? Whatever the title is, the head of the front office, guy who makes decisions. Dombrowski, Chaim Bloom, and now Craig Breslow. It's pretty unusual to see a manager stick, through 3. And then on a third, executive extend him for 3 more years. So I thought that was really interesting as well. But yeah, Jahmai, the other thing too, and I mentioned it, and it's been out there, it's been reported, things got heated on the field between the Red Sox and the Rockies, and there were words exchanged. Obviously, Cal Quantrill, the pitcher for the Rockies, Reese McGuire, who was recently DFA'd by the Red Sox, unrelated to this whole thing, got into it, and we could see it unfold on TV. And then Sean McAdam, Mass Live, reported that things spilled out after the game, where some Red Sox players had some more words apparently for the Rockies and maybe Cal Quantrill, but that was sort of an interesting report. Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and the Rocky security reportedly intervened, and it was all good. But did you happen to see any of that?
This is I can confirm everything that was reported by Sean. It's all fact. And I mean, as far as Rocky security meaning, I think it was more like, it's like, let's be real here, okay? Like, it's a baseball fight. So like, if you really wanted to fight somebody, you're gonna fight. Like, it's all kind of a little bit of eyewash, but I'm sure there was, and I know there was some players on the Red Sox who were certainly ticked off. And what I think is my my observation, my hypothesis on this, I should say, and nothing that I've gotten confirmed from anybody to this point.
Yeah.
But I don't believe, and I think everybody at this point has been on social media and is able to have all the professional lip readers to see exactly the phrase that Cal Quantrill used when he was referring.
No question. We're not gonna get into that on this podcast. We're just not
right.
It's out there. Google, go search, read your lips for yourself. Right. I'm not gonna get into that.
Exactly. But I think my point being that I don't actually believe Reese heard what he said. I think it was just too loud, and he heard him barking at him. I don't think he heard what he said until he got back into the clubhouse and all those guys got on their phones. This is my guess is what happened. So I think that not only increased the frustration, but it raised the level of disrespect to a point now where this needs to be addressed head on. So guys were, or I guess, Jaron Duran was one of the leaders in this, and he was, as Sean reported, he had come out of the clubhouse and he was like, half dressed, and he was obviously frustrated about something. And then the whole team's coming and they're pulling him back. And I think all members of the baseball press there, they're probably like, this is not a great look. Let's kind of go back and to the clubhouse. And that's what they did. And they were able to escort him back. So I think he was the agitator in a lot of this, because he was the one who was seemingly most visibly frustrated with what happened. And then you also think about the benches clearing brawl or the benches clearing kerfuffle. And he had words with Cal Quantrill, and he had to be pulled back by Nick Pivetta, and then got back in, to the dugout. So something was said there where he felt like was, crossing a line.
Well, so look, from TV, from our point of view, during the whole brawl, or benches clearer, I should say, it wasn't really a brawl, was that, Quantrill and McGuire, got in each other's faces. They were separated. Quantrill went right to the dugout while everybody else remained on the field. And then Jaron Duran, I think, had noticed that and was barking at Quantrill to get back out of the dugout, because, it's like you're running away from what you started, and that's not right. So that's what we saw from our point of view with Duran. And then, it is interesting, though, Jahmai, because it's like, Alex Cora has talked about Jaron Duran, the leader, right? Playing every day. He's an all-star. He's a great story, and they need that kind of leadership in the clubhouse. Now, I'm not sure if that necessarily is what Alex Cora is talking about with being the guy that's going to go to the opposing team's clubhouse. But with that said, it is interesting that it's Duran doing that, right? Because that's, who Alex Cora has been talking about in terms of wanting him to be a leader, wanting him to take the next step, wanting him to be the guy that younger guys look up to. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure if this was part of his leadership qualities, but
No, I
standing up
don't
for his
think so, but
teammates
still it's
is
him. Right, standing up for
right.
his teammates, right.
Standing up
You
for his
know?
teammates is certainly one of those things. And then you know, you like I would never let anybody say that to you. You know what I mean? Like I just
Right.
felt like just you know, and maybe this is machismo or testosterone or whatever, but there comes a line where you know even words they don't like you look at words you tell your kids whatever you know words don't mean anything, but you know certain things that shouldn't be said. And there's certain lines you should not cross unless you're ready to face the consequences, albeit whatever physical in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, and unless you're ready to do that, you shouldn't. You know, my mom used to always say, "Don't write checks with your mouth that you can't cash." Right. So
Yeah.
you
That your
don't say
butt can't
things like
cash.
exactly. Yeah, that was it. So it's like you can't say something like that and then feel
Yeah.
like you know that's just
And then
part
run
of
away.
trash talk. Exactly. It's like you got to stand up and face that. And this actually goes back to Cal Quantrill's days in Cleveland. He had a run-in with Rafi
Yeah.
Devers back then, and he chirped him, and there was this whole big thing. That's kind of part of his mystique as a pitcher. Like he kind of goes at guys a little bit, and he's specifically had these situations with the Red Sox. So there's a little bit of history there, and then you have this situation where you seemingly cross a line that should not be crossed. So you know, you shouldn't be constantly reminded about maybe what you maybe think is your worst public thing in your life and be have that thrown in your face. I think that's kind of out of bounds or whatever. So I think the guys felt that way as well. And then so you know, we're getting ready to leave and like they're having to be corralled and Duran was just he was ready to go, man. And like Trevor Story was one of the cooler heads and even going to the bus, it was just like he was still a little bit steaming. So it was just kind of interesting to watch that whole thing develop. But you know, I think a lot of it was just showing that sign of solidarity and not so much actually wanting to. I'm sure somebody wanted to punch him, but I'm you know not so much really wanting to fight. But you know, showing that sign of solidarity was a good sign of leadership, I guess, from Duran and a lot of those guys.
So you had mentioned Cal Quantrill in Cleveland, and it kind of reminded me of last year, Jahmai Webster, sideline reporter, taking a line
Yeah,
drive in
was Cal
Cleveland
Quantrill
off the
pitching?
ribs. I
Was he
don't know if he
pitching?
was pitching, but you
I'm gonna have to
mentioned
go back and look
Raffy,
at that.
right?
Yeah,
You mentioned Raffy. Raffy's the one that hit it. And you got hurt, man. And we were all feeling for you.
109.3.
You had the crack ribs. You know, it's tough. It's tough out there sometimes. But then we fast forward a year later
Hazard
to
of
a
the job.
different type of injury, in a different venue, much different circumstances. And look, I mean, cracked rib, no joke. No joke. That's a tough injury.
Yeah,
But a
not pretty.
tweaked ankle on the
How
pickleball
they tweet.
court.
I mean,
There
let's
was
stick with the
there
facts
was
here.
so there's so much attention paid to this over the weekend. All right. So this
With
is an exclusive picture from the Red Sox training room where Jahmai Webster is wrapped up with some sort of tape and ice, really more favoring the shoe than the ankle. And so you
listen,
have that
no, you see
situation right there.
the pant leg is
And
rolled
no,
up
no, no.
slightly.
We have
Okay,
more. We have
the
more. We
ice is
have
being
more to show.
applied to the painful area. Please, come on. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have had it. Come on now, like let's not do this because you saw what happened to Rob Bradford. He took a spill.
I
He was the one.
did.
He was
I
leading
saw
this
him
charge.
actually on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so I
saw him
wish
on
we had
Saturday.
that
We
in.
talked about that. Well,
Yeah,
he was
so
playing hurt too. He
yeah,
was playing hurt too
but
because he did
he
the Cape
first
Cod League
started
All-Star game. Cape Cod League All-Star game on Saturday, which aired on Nesson.
right
And I saw him, and he detailed the the injury. He went, he's riding the scooter
head over
near
heels,
the
baby.
ballpark, head over heels, landed wrists and face, and he's banged up. And
Yeah.
I was really feeling for him. I don't
What
know if I
started it the
felt
day
that same
before? He
sort
was
of
talking about
sympathy for
me.
you.
Well, I mean, it
As
wasn't
I
as
did.
ankle sprain is not a visible injury, but there is some
Fair enough.
centralized bruising.
Okay.
There is some
All right.
bruising and pulling where the trauma occurred. But
Yeah.
we're talking about this picture here where everybody's like like it's on the shoe and it's like, dude, listen, all right, I'm the
Yeah.
one that's injured, so I would not just apply this bag of ice gaff
Yeah.
tape from Robert Schwann's supplies of television stuff and just put it on there. So also I did get up, so I was moving around. It was much more what's the word I'm looking for? It was much more, it helped much more prior to me actually getting up and moving around because I did have a job to do. I was this close. I mean, fractions of a moment, seconds from going to the hospital. It was that serious.
All right.
So
let's so you drew a lot of attention to yourself and a lot of the Red Sox
I really didn't,
writers,
honestly.
Let me
agree to disagree. Let me tell you why. Because look, I was hurt. So it happened playing pickleball with several of the Red Sox coaches and the mental skills coach Ray Fuentes. So we're playing pickleball. It's something that we've done on the road a few times. They've invited me out maybe 3-4 times at this point. So I showed up and, I'm going for a ball that's close to the net and I'm just sprinting from the back of the line. And I'm wearing running shoes, which is my first mistake. And they've told me constantly, you got to get tennis shoes or basketball shoes at the least because, a lot of lateral movement, a lot of powerful, explosive movement towards the net. So I hit the ball and I just lose traction in my foot and my foot kind of dribbles forward like that and it rattles my ankle. So I'm on my ass, man. Immediately hurt. So then I'm just like, laying on the ground there and I'm like, that didn't feel too great. I'm just like, that's tough. Foxy helps me off the floor. I'm like, all right, no, I'm good, guys. I'm good. Let's keep going. And I'm in pain, but I'm in front of the guys, little machismo, little ego. So I got to keep playing. We play 3-4 more games. I'm good. Throw on my sandals. We head back to the hotel. They got to get ready to come to the game. I go into my room. I just lay down for a minute. I'm like, I'm going to take some time to just relax before I get ready for the ballpark. Then I hop in the shower. And I take my first step out of the shower and I'm like, ooh, that didn't feel great at all. So at this point, it's like, I'm cold now. I've been hour and a half post playing after I continued. And now it's really beginning to hurt. So now it's to the point where I can't really lift and move the way I want to. So it's a limp. And Colorado is close to the team hotel, the Coors Field, I should say. So we've been walking to the ballpark just about every single day. So I'm making my way to the ballpark and I'm limping and the limp is getting progressively worse as I get closer to the ballpark. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like I'm about to be limping all day. And now the pain starts to set in. So I popped 2 ibuprofen. I'm like, all right, maybe that'll help take some of the thing down. And now it's starting to swell up in my leg. And I'm like, I can't even walk to the ballpark. I got to call an Uber to take me 2 blocks. So get a ride. I get out and I'm like, man, this is really hurting. So now I'm sitting down and I'm trying to elevate it. And I'm with Bobby in the dugout. Bobby, Robert Swan, Bobo, one of our NESN photographers. And I'm like, dude, this is like no joke. This is killing me right now. And it's to the point where the pain is starting to go up my leg. It's not just ankle, it's like in my calf and I'm feeling the pain there. So I'm like, dude, I need like some ice or something. So he's like, you should just hit up one of the trainers. So I text one of the trainers and I'm like, you got a bag of ice, something I can use? I think I sprained my ankle pretty badly actually and it's starting to really kill me. So do that. He's like, I got some gaff tape because he brought me this grocery bag. He's like, I got some gaff tape, just put it on there, secure it. I'm like, all right, cool. Elevate the leg. So I'm sitting there in the dugout, and I don't know if we have those pictures, but I can share them later. I'm sitting there in the dugout with my leg.
Oh, they've already been shared on social media.
Listen, I am minding my own business. I am a man who's hurt. I'm certainly
in the middle of the dugout where everybody is.
Every single report. I'm at the end of the dugout. I'm at the end of the dugout. I'm at the end of the dugout. And as you can see, I'm laying down there. I don't take my own pictures. I didn't tell him to take a picture of me. Bobby pulls out his camera. He starts snapping photos because these guys like to make fun of me. Whatever. I'm a good sport. I can take it. Then he grabs his television camera. He starts shooting me on the bench. I didn't ask him to do that. He's like, this is going to be great. This is going to go viral. This is the content we need. I'm like, no chance, dude. I'm legitimately hurt. I could care less about that. So then I've been waiting there 5 minutes, and that's all I got, ice time. 5 minutes, and I'm like, crap, man, we got to go in the clubhouse now. So he's like, all right, we'll go. So now I get up after elevating it, which felt so much relief. Like it let the blood kind of flush there. But now I got to get up on my feet again. So I'm limping into the clubhouse, waddling along like some turtle. Next thing you know, I get in there and the manager's office is right there. So you have to pass the manager's office before you get to the actual lockers. Alex Cora sees me. He's like, dude, what the hell happened to you? And I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, this, I know it's not a great look, but whatever. I was like, I'm playing pickleball with Foxy Bales and, Ray and these guys, Justin Long from PR. And I sprained my ankle. I said, but I'll be okay. He's like, dude, we can't have you walking around here like this. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, come with me. He says, come with me. I'm going to take you back to the trainers. Like, these guys got to check you out. This could be serious. So I said, well, it is, but, I'm trying to be tough about it. But he's like, no, come on. So he escorts me to the training room, through the clubhouse. No sympathy. Guys are making fun of me, laughing. People are starting to snap pictures, and you cannot do that. So that's a whole nother story. But anyways, he takes me back there. I get to the training table, and it seemed like every pitcher on the roster was there because they've been heavily used at this point. So all these guys are in there. And Cutter Crawford is coming over there. He's looking at me. He's like, dude, what's going on? He pulls out his phone. He starts taking pictures. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? I'm like, can a man just get injured and be fine? Like, it's ridiculous.
Man. I love how we keep putting this back up.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't, not so
much.
Hold.
Can we get to your colleagues too, please? Some tweets.
Yeah,
I want to see what some of your colleagues had to say about this. All right, here we go. Here's Alex Spear. Stat
this is a day later.
Himself.
This is a day later. Yes.
Praising the training staff for allowing members of the Sox rotation to keep posting. He described it as the best training staff in the big leagues. Jahmai Webster, who is heroically grinding through a second straight day after his pickleball injury.
Thank
Quote,
you.
I agree. Which got some laughs, by the way, in the media scrum. So that was great comedic timing on your part. And then we have Ian Brown, MLB.com. Prior to the game, as Nesson's Webster on TV hobbled around the clubhouse with frozen peas or something wrapped around his sore ankle. Devers turned to my good friend and said, if it was broken, you wouldn't be able to walk. I'll tell you what, man. Rafi has not had your back through 2 injuries now. The first 100%. One was legit rib injury, and he laughed at you.
And now,
in this second one, which is questionably legit, he doesn't even have your back. So it's disappointing.
It's disappointing to hear that from the face of the franchise. I will say that for Rafi to have been now involved in certainly one of these, but at least his words in the second one, and to have no sympathy whatsoever has been a little bit disheartening. For somebody who's getting beat up over the course of 162, I think he too would understand this. And he wanted nothing to do with it, and that hurts. That hurts, man.
Well, I could tell that you're on the road to recovery because you
still
somehow were able to play golf with Mike Monaco, barely. Yeah, and then I mean, again.
Look.
Yeah,
listen.
I know. I saw the hop. I mean,
I'm on one leg.
Hold on, let me read this. In the pantheon of heroic athletes playing through injuries, there's Jordan's flu game, there's Willis Reed, there's Paul Pierce, and there's Webster on TV fighting through a devastating pickleball injury. Now, don't you see that your boy Monaco, while commending your heroics, is kind of making fun of you a little bit by using the word devastating, kind of like we're doing here on this extra time. Devastating injury.
Look at this. I mean, if you know Monaco, yes, there's a little bit of tongue in cheek there with that, but he also respected the injury. And we're poking fun of it, but I mean, I'm still wrapped up, man. Take a look.
Now, I was wondering if we had an update. Oh, so we have, instead of a duct tape bag of ice, we now have a proper sleeve on the injury.
This is the second piece of equipment that Anthony Cerundolo, one of the Red Sox team trainers, gave me. He said, when you're at home, you wear this. When you're out moving around, you wear the brace. So I've eliminated the brace because I'm at home. I'm at the crib. I'm chilling. He says, wear this at night because it kind of keeps things compressed. But I still have the KT tape, the original KT tape. Let me show you that.
Okay, let's see it.
There's the OG.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah, there you go.
It's still there.
Yeah.
So that's what he taped me up with.
Are you feeling better?
So listen, you said Alex Cora, he started the praise, best training staff in the big leagues. And this is the difference between a regular guy like myself spraining his ankle on the street or pickup basketball, pickleball, whatever, to being able to play the next day or even that night, as opposed to, a regular guy being able to be out for like 4 to 6 weeks with an ankle sprain, as opposed to me getting touched by an angel and seeing some of the best trainers in the big league and then running through treatment. So when I was in there with Cutter Crawford and these guys, like I had the ice, they took off the ice, and they put me in the whirlpool. I put my leg in there and, doing these little bit of movements. He said, go side to side. So we did that for like 15 minutes. Then he came out. He gave me the nice little rub down. He reset the ligaments, put them back in place because he's like, yeah, your ligaments are kind of out of whack here. It was the trauma from the angle when you split it. He's like, just relax. He's like, this will make it feel better. Boom. Popped me right on the table. And I was like, whoa, that felt tough. And I'm like, dude, but I'm like, actually, now that I move around, I feel amazing. And then he strapped this tape up in a way that stabilized my ankle and he put the brace over it. But I'm telling you, man, it was night and day. I could have played that night had I needed to. Wow. And now 4 days post-injury, I feel like I can run a marathon. I'm not going to even hold you, Adam. I feel fantastic. And I think I may be shedding the brace today. I think we've reached that point.
Whoa! Breaking
I think
news
I may be shedding the brace.
Extra time. Jahmai Webster getting extra ready time to shed exclusive. The brace as they get ready for the series against the Mariners. Wow, that's huge.
So, I mean, I feel
Look
great.
at that.
I feel great. I'm keeping the tape on, though, because it is a stabilizer. But this was a legitimate thing, man. And it's funny because our Red Sox coordinating producer on the broadcast, Amy Johnson, asked me the next day as I was coming back if I needed crutches, if I would be wearing, holding crutches. And I said to her, if I needed crutches, I would take the rest of this series off and the next, because look at what happened to me from having a bag of ice and an ankle brace. I would never hear the end of it if I hobbled into the clubhouse with crutches. So no, I would not be using crutches. I'd much rather be in pain and cause further damage to my ligaments than actually be on crutches and take the weight off my leg. So, well, I just this is legitimate. I mean, I know it's tough to see somebody and be like, oh, your ankle sprained. But man, I don't seek. I did not seek any of this. I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, I wanted none of this. I wanted none of it.
No.
So
I feel like you're on the witness stand, testifying on your own behalf, trying to make your case as to how this is a legitimate injury. So we've heard the testimony, and I got your back, buddy. I got your back.
Oh,
I know you heard.
No, because
you put a meme. Well, no, you presented you presented a compelling case. Okay. I stand corrected.
Okay, well, now that I appreciate you. You are a voice of reason. When you hear reason, you are able to accept it. So I appreciate that about you, my friend.
Can I ask you one more question though about the ankle? I know we only have a couple minutes left. One more.
I mean, we're on. We're locked into ankle.
When you hurt yourself, was this face? Was this the face that you made?
Oh my god, dude! Delete this. I never want to see this again, ever in my life. Never.
Oh man,
you have overused it so much now, Adam. It's done.
Dude, I think you were half serious when I used it the other day, and you said, I'm just getting to. It was actually related to the pickleball injury because you said, I was getting over my pickleball injury, and I used it for something else. I can't remember what it was, but I used it, and you said, I'm just getting to this now. Please do not use this on any more of your posts or holster it or something.
Yes, exactly. It's time to retire that puppy, man. It's time. I'm done with you, dude. Man. Because you seem to always have your memes. Like, you use 3 memes in rotation, and 2 of them are me. So it's time to get rid of them.
That's
dude.
True.
It's
I can't remember what the other one was. What was the other one? There was another one. There was that, and then there was
the other one was a cookie. You used my cookie meme.
The Cookie Monster.
Unbelievable.
I
man.
will say,
I accept that one. This one, no. No, we gotta retire this one. And you use your meme of you being locked out of the studio, and that's your other meme when the Red Sox win.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I wasn't locked out. I was watching. I was taking it all in, man. My new one is with the City Connect sunglasses. I wear. I do that.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah, that's another one. Look at you, man. You've added a 4th.
And then Lenny uses me dancing with the Savannah Bananas, which is a little embarrassing. So I'm right there with you, because I'm moving my hips like weird and stuff.
Yeah, you were right there, man. It was like Janet Jackson. It was just no Rhythm Nation. That's the only difference.
Janet.
So that was tough, man. That was tough.
I think we only have a couple minutes left. I think
I
that
think
is
so.
that right, Producer Carolyn? 5 minutes, perfect. Okay,
I
so
just like to
since you
take this
were laid
time
up,
to apologize to Matt Damon because we ran out of time. I didn't get to see him on
no man,
Friday.
listen, I
We
teased
were
it.
just
You were
talking
laid up
about him.
this weekend. Here's a segue. All right, you had the ankle injury, Simone Biles with the calf injury, and she was able
Hmm.
to endure as well. You've been watching any of the Olympic Games?
No. Short answer, no.
I'm
I mean,
glad we only went 5 minutes.
I mean, yeah, they've only been going on for like 2 days now, but I don't really get
Yeah,
into it until we get to the track and field, man. I love it. I absolutely love the track and field. I mean, I
yeah,
will tap in. I've been watching some basketball highlights. I haven't watched the actual games live. I've caught a lot of the
yeah,
highlights, saw Simone Biles, Suni Lee, saw those girls doing their thing. But I'm interested in this young kid, man. Quincy Wilson, 16 years old, the
yeah.
youngest Olympian in Olympic history, right, for the US. And this kid is running with men and holding his own. So, I mean, he got
And
in on
twice his
time.
age. It's
He got in on
crazy.
time, yeah. He got in on time, 44, sub 44 quarter mile, which is incredibly fast. He beat, I mean, he's an
Yeah,
Olympian. I was saying he beat us, but yeah, I mean, he beat half the people in the world. So, more than half, really, because it's, it's only a certain amount of people who are doing this. So I'm interested in seeing him. I'm interested in seeing Sydney
yeah,
McLaughlin run the hurdles, the 400 hurdles. I'm interested in seeing what the sprinters do, Sha'Carri Richardson. So, like, I'm so pumped for track and field. And actually, you know this, but my dad's a track coach, and
yep.
his season is over. But he's going to Paris, man. He's headed to Paris on
No
Friday.
way.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
gonna
that's
be
awesome. That's so cool.
So
Has
he's
he
gonna
attended Olympic Games before?
he has before. He has before
Okay.
one previously, but he was working that one. This one he's going as a spectator. He's just gonna enjoy it. So he's gonna be having a blast, man. And I'm very jealous because he's gonna be watching some of the better Olympic Games that we've had in a while. So he's going to be locked in on the track and field, and he gets there on Friday. So I'll be FaceTiming him, getting all the live reports when the events happen before they're shown on TV here. But I'm pumped for it this year. I just haven't had a chance
Yeah.
to really tap in just yet. I'll watch
Yeah,
USA
I know.
basketball, stuff like that. What events do you like?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Track and field is the best. I do enjoy gymnastics. I watched some gymnastics this week and seeing the women's team, Team USA, and Simone Biles. The injury was kind of like, oh no, because she kind of tweaked her calf, and so
Yeah,
she was muscling through that. But it is incredible to see these athletes compete on the world stage and what they're able to do, men's and women's gymnastics, and seeing some of the men compete as well, the upper body strength that they have, it's just
man.
unbelievable.
What are those things?
There's a
The uneven bars, the circle ones,
uh, no, those are the rings, the Olympic
the
rings.
ring.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
the
god, dude,
craziest
those
thing ever.
guys.
Yeah, that might be the
I could
most
barely.
impressive thing.
I mean, for sure, certainly a show of strength, man. Because like it's hard to do a pull up, and those guys are lifting their whole body weight on just their arms, right? It's incredible what they
Yeah,
do. That's why I
yeah.
love the
So,
Olympics. Like it's such a exceptional show of athleticism and talent from all sports, and it's highly competitive because this is what you wait for every 4 years. That's why I enjoy it. And the Summer Olympics is my thing, not so much the winter, even though I tap into that too. I like a little hockey because do you believe in miracles and all that good stuff? But Summer Olympics is where it's at for me, man. Let's do
yeah,
that hockey.
it is kind of surprising. Let's do that hockey, baby. Chance the Rapper over here joining me on Extra Time. No, we got like twice the amount of sports in Summer Olympics and Winter
Yeah,
Olympics,
that's
which I
true
didn't
too.
realize until I looked at the list. I'm like, oh wow, there's just so many sports, and there's some new ones this year. I mean, breakdancing is an event, which is kind of
Whoa,
crazy. Yeah,
I might have to
yeah.
tap into
So
that one, dude.
yeah,
Used to do a little
I'm pretty
breaking back in
sure.
my day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm not wrong about that. But anyway, yeah, no, it's always cool and to see the athlete stories. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what we love about our jobs too, is that we get to
yeah.
tell the stories of the athletes we cover, and then to hear these amateur athletes and their backstories. I think we have a greater sense of appreciation at those stories being told because we get to tell them as well, and I think that's pretty cool too.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no,
uh,
definitely, man. It's incredible. It's incredible for
yeah,
sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you reminded me because I'm like trying to find a way to check in on the Olympics, trying to keep
yeah.
track. But
Well, you've been dealing with a
um,
devastating injury, so I'm glad that I could, just help you out in that regard. But with
yeah,
that
you know
said,
what?
Jahmai,
Be on standby.
what?
I mean, I could go up the
I'm
stairs
working
here and
already.
re-aggravate it. Oh, okay. I was gonna
I'm
say you might
I'm
have you come
trying to,
down the
yeah,
sideline.
Yeah, man. Like on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing because TC's going on the road trip. So I'm going
Yeah,
to
man.
be
TC's going to Texas and Kansas City.
Yeah, and I'll be doing pre and post for those games. So I will be in the chair. Looking forward to it. Jahmai, man, always a pleasure. Sophia, I think, is going to be joining us pretty soon. So we're going to be 3 wide again, which will be fun. But this was a good convo. Always enjoy my time. Make sure you check out Extra Time on Apple, Spotify, subscribe, wherever you get your podcast. Also, you can catch us on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook as well. For my guy, Jahmai
Hey.
Webster, Adam Pellerin. We'll see you next time.
Peace.